Alright guys, today we're gonna be reacting to Thomas Sowell, why blacks must destroy rap culture to succeed like whites. Let's jump in.
Multiculturalism has not only taken root in schools, I think it is uncritically accepted by a lot of Americans, haven't thought it through. In this book, you assault it head on. You describe it as a barrier to progress and a lot of other things. Explain why multiculturalism, if you would, is bad.
I guess it starts from a false premise, which is that there's something that all cultures are equal in some undefinable sense, which has never been the case. I mean, some cultures are better at some things, worse at other things, and at particular times in history, one group's culture may be ascendant, and another time another group's. But what you almost never see is what they assume is a norm, namely all groups performing pretty much the same in all kinds of fields across the board. That you can go through centuries of history without finding a single example of that.
You say that assumption, in fact, holds different groups down. You write, quote, multiculturalism, like the caste system, paints people into the corner where they happen to have been born, but at least the caste system doesn't claim to benefit those at the bottom.
Absolutely. So when the multiculturalists say, for example, that the schools should not try to make black students speak standard English, the difference between speaking standard English and not speaking standard English can be huge in terms of your job, your
Not only that, you just right behind. I think we reacted to this portion of the video yesterday.
careers, and all sorts of other things.
The multiculturalism cult. The world has been multicultural for centuries before this word was coined. Moreover, it has been multicultural in a very real and practical way, directly the opposite of the way being urged by today's multiculturalism cult. The very paper on which these words are written was invented in China, as was the art of printing. The letters come from ancient Rome, and the numbers from India, via the Arabs. All this is being written by a man whose ancestors came from Africa, while listening to music by a Russian composer. Even leaders of nations are not necessarily from those nations themselves. Napoleon was not French, Stalin was not Russian, and Hitler was not German.
Hitler was Austrian, right? Let me know in the comment section.
Crops have been as multicultural as people. Much of the world's rubber comes from Malaysia, but the Malaysian rubber trees themselves came from seeds brought from Brazil. The cocoa grown in Nigeria and the potatoes grown in Ireland likewise both originated in the Western Hemisphere before Columbus arrived. A list of all the crops, technology, and ideas that have spread from one people or one nation to another would be a list of most of the crops, technologies, or ideas in the world. The reason why all these things spread was, quite simply, that some things were considered better than others, and people wanted the best they could get. This is completely the contrary to the philosophy of the multiculturalism cult, where things are not better or worse, but just different. Yet people around the world do not simply celebrate diversity, they pick and choose which of their own cultural features they want to keep and which they want to dump in favor of something better from somebody else.
But not only that though, let's be honest, a lot of these people that are okay with multiculturalism, all that stuff, they're not in favor of that. They just want to be nice and, you know, go with the wave kind of thing, and they want to have the moral high ground, but we all know that's not the case.
When Europeans first discovered paper and printing from China, they did not celebrate diversity. They stopped giving themselves writer's cramp from copying scrolls and started letting the printing presses do the work. When American Indians saw horses for the first time after Europeans brought them here, they did not celebrate diversity. They started riding off to hunt instead of walking.
That's crazy.
Everything from automobiles to antibiotics has spread around the world because people wanted the best they could get, not the inefficient ways that the multiculturalist cult calls living in harmony with nature. Too often, before modern medicine was accepted, that meant dying young instead of living to a healthy old age. People preferred to live, even if it wasn't in harmony with nature. The issue is not what I say or what the multiculturalists say. The issue is what millions of human beings actually do when they have a choice. Around the world, they treat cultural features as things that help them cope with life, not museum pieces to ooh and ah over. When they find their own ways of doing some things better, they keep them. When they find someone else's ways of doing other things better, they use them and drop what they used before. What they do not do is what the multiculturalists do. Say that it is all just a matter of perceptions, that nothing is better or worse than anything else. Multiculturalism is one of those affectations that people can indulge in when they are enjoying all the fruits of modern technology and can grandly disdain the processes that produced them. None of this would be anything more than another of the many foibles of the human race, except that the cult of multiculturalism has become the new religion of our schools and colleges,
It's everywhere, man.
contributing to the mushing of
It's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. I'm telling you, you see it everywhere, and we have to put a stop. I'm telling you, allowing a lot of immigrants to come here illegally without assimilation is a huge problem that we're gonna pay later on, folks. I'm telling you.
America. It has become part of the unexamined assumptions underlying public policy and even decisions in courts of law. Who would be surprised that people from different cultural backgrounds are represented differently in different jobs, colleges, or income levels, except for the unspoken assumption that these different cultures are equally effective for all things? Yet you need only turn on the television set and watch professional basketball to realize that one segment of the population plays the game a lot better than others. If you watch the commercials that sponsor these events, you are often watching ads for beer companies that were almost invariably established by people of German ancestry. Since Germans have been brewing beer since the days of the Roman Empire, should we be surprised that they excel as much in this as blacks excel in basketball?
Good point.
Any standard based on quality will have overrepresentation and underrepresentation of different groups. However much such disparate impact may shock the editorial writers and provoke judges to rush in where angels fear to tread.
Wow. He's good, man. Thomas Sowell is good.
The multicultural dogma is that we are to celebrate all cultures, not change them. In other words, people who lack educationally or economically are to keep on doing what they have been doing, but somehow have better results in the future than in the past. And if they don't have better results in the future, it is society's fault.
There we go. That's the liberals
Never
right there.
understood why committing crime and bragging about committing crime is a culture that is supposed to be celebrated or cherished. If they're really serious about celebrating culture, then the least they could do is return to Africa and learn the original culture, not the borrowed redneck culture. But
That is a good point. That is a good point. If they really want to celebrate culture, hey, Africa's right there. And by the way, the flights are cheap. This guy's talking true. Like, if you really want to celebrate culture, why do you have to celebrate like degeneracy? Why? Like, you see a lot of the cultures in Africa, not they're just regular folks trying to just get by. And then you see what they consider African American or British American or African British African or whatever they call it. They all have the same problem, man. All the same damn problem.
at last, that's probably never going to happen. But you let me know what you think about this in the comments.
Good point, man. Good point. If I were a politician, man, I would just double the presence of the police in those areas and really just do what needs to be done, because a lot of families need to be protected. And a lot of those folks don't really understand culture, don't really understand politics. And that's another thing. We have to really make sure that we can educate those people. But then at the same time, they don't want to be educated, so I don't know. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I would love to hear you guys' opinion about it. Meantime, guys, I'll see you in the next one.